Before we start, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we're recording on.
For both of us now that we're together, it's the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation.
Welcome to a bonus episode of Two Girls, One Pod this week. We decided, because one of the most iconic Aussie TV shows ended this week with a 90-minute epic saga playing out on Thursday night. I watched it, Yvie Jones watched it, and we decided it's only fair for us to say farewell to Ramsay St by goggleboxing the hell out of it.
Oh, yeah. Let's Gogglebox away.
Well,
do you remember we Goggleboxed the 30 years?
Oh, my God, I forgot about that.
We Goggleboxed their 30 years, and that was brilliant enough.
And that was 7 years ago.
It
because
was.
it's the 37th year on the screens that it's been on. Did you know, though, before we start, little fun fact, 9,000 episodes, staged 63 weddings, 20 births and 68 deaths over the course of the show's life. That's a lot of births and a lot of deaths and a lot of weddings.
Yeah. And there was something
and a lot of
like,
rebirths.
There was something like 9 hostage kidnappings, and it's like, it's just, what?
It's so
when
good.
does that ever happen on Neighbours?
It's safe to say this show was so problematically cooked too over the years, but we're going to celebrate it with just focusing on the finale episode.
Yeah.
What I want to start off with first. The first thing I want us to Gogglebox is obviously Mike, Guy Pearce, Dreamboat, coming back in for Jane, Annie Jones.
Yeah,
and
Jones.
that was just, I didn't know that story personally. I don't remember it. I didn't watch it back then. But anything to do with Guy Pearce, I'm like,
Yum, yum, yum. I mean, he's gone straight from Mayor of Easttown to Neighbours, and just amazing. Thank you, Guy, for even doing something like that. Because him and Shane Ramsay, Peter O'Brien, those two actually came back and did a lot. Like, they've been here for the whole, I guess, almost a week.
They weren't
Whereas
just
the
here for the
others,
final.
The others are coming in. Like, we haven't seen them yet. So they've, coming into just the final. And I think Guy is a pretty big big legend for kind of doing a massive storyline, bringing his love back to, and I love that he ended up being the father of Sam Young, who was that gorgeous little Down syndrome actress that we adored. And we're so glad to see Down syndromes because, as you know, we've always looked after them. And, we looked after one and you looked after quite a few. And it's just so wonderful because they're such amazing creatives. And I love seeing them on our primetime television.
Me too. That was a good little storyline. Even though I didn't know it, I did like it. Also, can I quickly just say, how's this that I didn't know that obviously Flick Scully Holly Valance, I picked up on her straight away, but how's I didn't know that was Natalie Imbruglia? Did not even pick up on it. Didn't look like her to me.
Didn't even,
I was like, who's this woman? Don't know her. What's she doing on my screen? Get her off. Read later. It's freaking our mate Nat.
Yeah, Beth Brennan was her character's name, and she ended up having a child, and he's came back as well, or is still in the show, or I don't know, Ned. I wasn't really up to it on the last.
She did. She
couple
waved
of
to the
years.
kid. She was like to my son
she
or
said,
whatever. And I was like,
Ned. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know you, but then again, I don't know any of them. And it's of course I know. I don't know why. It just didn't. She didn't look like Natalie.
Did you watch it during the time when she was on?
Oh, I probably did like ages ago. But I don't. She was so. Just more young, obviously. Everybody ages. But anyway, moving on. Susan forgiving Isabel.
Oh. That was quite nice. Bittersweet, but nice. Isabel's just a hot mess. And by the end, she realised how much of a hot mess she was. And Susan was like, you're a hot mess. And I forgive you because you can't hate someone that's that kind of hot and messy.
Yeah, because wasn't she dating Karl's son, but it was just like, trick jar, I don't really want to date him, I want to date old mate. And I didn't really get that storyline, but all I remember is that affair between Karl and Yvie was so iconic. I lost sleep over it. I couldn't believe that was, I'm pretty sure Karl's had 2 affairs, right? He cheated on her in the younger years, and then he cheated on her again with Yvie. I think Susan is a saint and we should protect her at all costs, and I do not know how she's stuck by Karl. I have never forgiven him for the second affair. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, Susan. Shame on you.
Absolutely. Shame on you, Susan. But it's it's okay because you know what? Some people just end up together. They're best friends and
soulmates.
I would have liked to have seen Susan have an affair though.
Me too. Or just be a single bad bitch and she doesn't leave. She's the only one that stays on Ramsay Street and all like Karl buggers off. Yeah. And she's just there like as the queen. That would be great. What did we feel about the book, the Ramsay Street book?
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea because, they included Facebook in it. See, the book used to be something that Harold had done and it got destroyed. Not destroyed, it got wrecked in a flood. So redoing the book was a great way. Yeah, of course it did. And it went down a mine shaft and then it got exploded and then it went into the ocean in the back of Toadie's car when he was marrying Dee or had just married her.
That was one of the saddest moments of all time, wasn't it?
They went into the ocean, the sea.
Yeah, when he lost Dee, he finally got the love of his life and then Dee dies.
I didn't watch back then, but Dee died. But Dee came back, remember, and it wasn't really Dee?
No, it was like the evil cousin.
Oh, so
yeah,
good.
I watched that.
And what about, can I just point out one thing that I found really, really great with the latest Neighbours was Toadie ended up marrying Mel. And Mel is like maybe a good 20 years older than him. And I was really stoked that a young man was marrying an older woman, that they even wrote a storyline like that in.
It was so random to see, wasn't it?
Neighbours.
I feel like Neighbours always does the absolute most to try to
They did the first gay
wedding, first kissing of two men on television. Then they had the lesbian couple.
The lesbians.
Iconic.
Yeah, there was a lot of lesbian kissing last night, which was lovely.
There was a lot of lesbian kissing, wasn't
there? And that's fine.
You know what I wanted to see more of? I wanted to see more flashbacks. Within any final episode,
yeah, me too.
I want flashbacks. When people come in, I want to see the moment, like when Flick came back on and Natalie, I wanted to see a flashback of a really iconic scene. They don't do enough of those.
Together. Yeah, I know.
No, but like their own individual ones.
Yeah. And you know the guy that she used to be with, Beth, Natalie Imbruglia, tall blonde, really blonde, hot, surfy looking guy. I would have liked to have seen him come back.
Yeah, there was a few people that I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't Lou there? Where was Lou?
I think Lou died in real life.
No, he's still alive, isn't he?
Is he?
I Googled him before and they didn't say anything about him dying. Or maybe but you thought they would have done a tribute to Lou.
Yeah. Well, they did a lot of Lou. Like, they showed a lot of Lou. Like in the photos and flashbacks and things like that. They did show. But, yeah, like they had Terrence Donovan as a ghost. That's Jason Donovan's dad, who was also in the show. And
I didn't know that line. I was like, who's this fella?
I never realised that the Ramsay, I mean, I do, the Ramsays and the Robinsons, that's who it was all about in the very beginning. So they had Melissa Bell come back.
Yes, or Mel Bell.
So Melissa and Paul Robinson, so Lucy and Paul Robinson and Scott were siblings. But did you notice that only Paul said hi to Scott and Charlene? Like Lucy was just kind of like, I don't care about you anymore. I don't know why. There was a few plot holes, I have to say. Let's not get negative, Yvie Jones, because it was the last episode of an iconic TV show.
I bet it comes back.
But there was a few. I did notice also Charlene and Scott came up with Queensland plates on, and then they had a thing that hanging off their rear vision mirror that said Coffs Harbour. I'm like,
oh my God, they did
geographically. Or maybe they just passed through and picked up something. Let's say that.
Surely production would have been across that. That's weird. And maybe is there a storyline we didn't know that they moved to Queensland as well or something?
Yeah.
I love they're still together. Bless.
Yeah, and she's still in her denim onesie.
Yeah, with her little curly tresses. She looked like a little mini Nicole Kidman, didn't she?
She did. She really did. And I mean, they've all aged. That was one thing that I noticed, that, Guy and Annie Jones, like these were teenagers when I was younger than a teenager. So they were all older than me, and watching them with real wrinkles on their faces. And
it's nice to see. Hey,
it's really nice to see. But it was so weird because it was almost like, have they painted those wrinkles on? But they hadn't,
No, they're just
I was looking at them like they were just aged naturally. I thought it was a fantastic episode, and it was an hour and a half long. I was like,
90
minutes. I thought it was only going to go for an hour.
No,
Yeah,
it
was
kind
good.
of needed it because you needed to fit in all that stuff. I personally would have liked more flashbacks just because those flashbacks really just like, they like make my heart sore when I saw little old photos and stuff, and it brings back memories. Obviously, another big thing is that Paul and Therese got back together. Paul is not going to New York, ladies and gentlemen. We're happy for it. Obviously, the wedding, lovely,
God,
bit
none
weird.
of them are going to New York. They were all going to New York all of a
They
sudden.
were
I'm like,
all going to New
what?
York.
With what money are you going to New York? Like, you own a Lassiter's, but it's just a little pub in Erinsborough.
Also, I didn't with the wedding with Toadie and old love. Probably shouldn't call her that. Mel. I didn't like how at the end they were going through the book and looking at all the farewells, which we'll get to as well. And then they were like, oh, no, we're not going to leave. It's like, no, you've been there since you were 12. Go out and live your goddamn life out of Ramsay Street. It's okay to leave Ramsay Street, Toadie.
I think it was a fan thing, wasn't it? I mean, really, the fans would have been like, no, I'm so glad he's staying because that means we might end up with another. Oh, there might be a Neighbours movie. I reckon there will be.
Oh, God, for the love of God, please.
There has to be. If Sex and the City can do it badly, so can Neighbours.
So can Neighbours. And also if Kath and Kim can have a movie, so can Neighbours.
Kath and Kim Drella.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, my God, that movie was ghastly, but I still love them to death. Great little cameos. I love how they, like, made such a song and dance about, like, these people coming back onto Neighbours. It was literally just, like, a Zoom screen of, like, Margot Robbie and people just being
Apparently
like...
Margot Robbie bought everyone champagne. Like, she sent champagne to the set.
That's sweet.
Expensive champagne bottles, and everyone was stoked. The crew got one, and... It was a quite nice thing to do. She remembers her roots. I mean, they all do.
I think they should all remember their roots. Without Neighbours, I mean, so many iconic legends started off there, and it was just so beautiful to see.
You know who was having a little bit of whinge about not coming back, don't you?
Who?
Old Craig McLachlan. He started on that show. He was one of the Ramsays as well.
Why did he not come back?
Because he's been cancelled.
Oh, has he?
Completely cancelled. Yeah, he had made sure everyone knew about it yesterday. Like, talk about making it about yourself.
Oh, well, in that case, who bloody cares? I don't want him to air on this podcast. Get out of it, Craig. It's time to go, Craig. Well, that's pretty much the main things. There was a really good tweet, actually, from our mate Benjamin Norris that I liked. It was like, Neighbours ending is like finding out your old primary school burnt down. You haven't been there in years, but you still feel emotional that others won't get the chance to enjoy it like you did once upon a time. # Neighbours. That's all. R.I.P. to the VIP.
Good Neighbours.
That's when... Did you like at the end how they did all the different songs of the Neighbours?
All the different songs. I can't believe how many people sang that song.
So many. And they ended with Bonnie's one, didn't they? And little Bonnie was there. I think she was pregnant.
Yeah, you could see a little bump starting. That was really gorgeous,
back with Jodie Gordon. And
I love that they even had Millsy come.
What happened to Millsy?
Oh, he was rotten to the core, and he died. He died. He died.
And they had
to
walk out, and there's like some people and then some people just lost.
Yeah, it was all very poignant, wasn't it? And prophetic.
It was.
And I love that it was Susan's voice in our ears and our hearts that we heard last. And I loved that very end credit that said, "Thank you for loving us. We love you." It makes me teary again. Oh, it was really lovely.
She's just the best. And I think she's an amazing actress.
I was just going to say that. Like, she needs to go on and do, like, actual dramas now. Like, now that she's freed up, if she wants to, that is, if she doesn't need a bloody long break, she needs to go and do some really great Australian drama, like the really good stuff that we're making. She's such a good actress, and I'd love to see her play a villain.
Oh, yeah.
Just putting it out there, Jackie.
She could be an
Just putting it out there. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm so glad we got to do this because it really is an end of an era, and it was such a platform for people to go out and just bloody create absolute magic across the globe. So, you know what, Neighbours? You had some cook storylines, very questionable characters, but thanks for being our friend for the last 37 years.
Yeah, wow. It's older than you, Angie.
I know. Oh, my God, it actually is.
And I remember the very first episode.
Do you actually?
I do, absolutely. New show was starting on Channel 7. It was on Channel 7 first for a week and then it got canned and then Channel 10 picked it up. I remember it all.
I wonder if it was still on
Very
7,
exciting.
if it would still be on. Ooh. Controversial. I bet you it comes back. They'll find some money and they'll do it in
I
like
reckon
5
England
years.
England will pick it up.
They just need a break. Everybody needs a break. That's a long, long time.
He needs a break. Brenny needs a break. They need
Neighbours
a break.
needs a break. She needs a break.
Can I also just say one last thing? Toadie, Ryan Maloney, one of the nicest people you will ever meet in your life. I interviewed him when I was on radio and he is the loveliest man. And then I saw him again at the hotel when we were doing the Logies and he's just such a lovely, warm, welcoming person. And fun fact, does not have one social media. Never
Love
has.
that. Yeah. What a great little soul.
Ryan.
Wonder what he's going to do now. He also just won... Nova was doing over the past week, they had a competition running on the Nova Player asking who was Australia's favourite Neighbours character. And it obviously comes as no surprise that it was our mate Toadie. So there you go. He really is a winner in life and in this competition.
And in everything. Go, you good thing.
Oh, all right.
All right,
that's our little recap of Neighbours. Farewell.
Farewell.
No, just say goodbye.
That's when good neighbours become good friends.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you very much. So remember, that was a bonus episode for everyone listening. We do have 2 episodes a week now. Thursday eps, we do deep dives into topics, DMs, and sometimes we have special guests. Please head to Apple Podcasts and rate and review our show. You can get in touch with us directly by emailing the podcast at 2girls@novaentertainment.com.au. Don't forget to follow us and follow Nova Podcast Official on Instagram for all behind the scene actions.
Yay! Bye, guys. Have the neighbours you deserve. Oh, that was good.
We will be back with you on Tuesday.